Isekai, the genre of science or fantasy fiction featuring a protagonist who is transported to or reincarnated in a different strange or unfamiliar world. In recent years, there have been plenty of isekai that have been released that take place in video games, usually MMOs. But back in the early 2000s, there was only two isekai that set the foundation for future titles: Dot Hack and Sword Art Online. Hello, all you beautiful people past, present, and yes, even those in the future. My name is Claude, and today we're going to be talking about two big names in the world of both video games and anime: Sword Art Online and Dot Hack. Both of these titles are set within the virtual world and influence a lot of stories from video games. Both of these titles are set in virtual worlds and have been influenced by gaming, but it is Sword Art Online that has definitely seen more popularity over the years. Why is that? In this video, we're going to take a look at Sword Art Online and see why it's such a huge hit while Dot Hack hasn't been receiving that much attention. We're going to talk about the good and bad of both series here, as well as why Bandai Namco likes to do Sword Art projects versus Dot Hack projects. We'll take a look at why Bandai Namco has been releasing so many Sword Art Online games, while Dot Hack, while it being a classic, hasn't received that much notoriety or even popularity in recent years. Before we get into the video, I want to ask you to hit that like button and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. I really want to hear your thoughts down and below in the comments as well. Alright, let's go ahead and get into it. Hey friends, Future Claude here. Now, going into this video, I do have a little bit of a bias. I mean, I am a Dot Hack YouTube channel after all. So, in order to get a different perspective on Sword Art Online, I asked one of my good friends, Tara. You've heard his voice through many of our projects. He was the voice of Syllabus in our Dot Hack GU Bridge series.
For copycat, it sure doesn't copy my personality. Actually, yes.
No, it's best not to tell him.
So considering that he likes Sword Art Online a lot and he doesn't know much about Dot Hack, I figured he was the perfect guy to talk to about this series. So throughout this video, you'll see me ask questions about his viewpoint on certain things. So without further ado, hope you all enjoy. Sword Art Online, or SAO, first came out as a light novel in 2009 and got its anime adaptation in 2012. The story is about players trapped in a virtual MMORPG, where dying in the game means dying in real life. The series is packed with action, adventure, and some romance in between. It hit the right note with fans who were interested in both virtual reality and gaming as a whole. Dot Hack, on the other hand, came out a bit earlier, starting around 2002. It's a multimedia series with games, anime, and novels. The plot of each entry varies from protagonist to protagonist. One protagonist could be trapped within the world, which is the MMO setting of that series, or other plots involving the mysteries behind the world, like an entity putting people into comas. It tackles more philosophical ideas about identity and blurring the lines between reality and virtual reality. So, while both series share a similar premise of players stuck in a virtual game, SAO went for fast-paced action and emotional drama, while Dot Hack took a more complex and slower approach with deeper storytelling. It is very important to break down the popularity between these two series and how it resonated with people. So go ahead and introduce yourself, bud.
Absolutely. Hello, everyone. I am, as Claude said, a viewer of Sword Art Online through most of the show, or through all of the show, and through, I think, most of the games at this point. I haven't gone too much into the manga, so there is probably a limitation to my knowledge, but I have been watching Sword Art for years, and actually what I'll start with is how I got introduced to Sword Art. It was back when I was in college. I was a receptionist at a dorm hall, which just involved sitting there not doing anything on your computer for 6 hours. It was the best job I've ever had. And I never really, I went basically as a kid watching like Naruto and Dragon Ball Z all the time.
Yeah, those were the big ones back in the day.
Those were the big ones back in the day. And then I maybe stopped around like age 10 or 11, and then I just didn't watch anime at all. It was completely cut from my life. I never stayed up to watch like Adult Swim or anything, and It was while I was trying to figure out what I was going to watch as my like next series, working as a receptionist, that I was scrolling through Netflix and had seen a little teaser, one of those previews from Sword Art Online, and it looked really interesting. I knew nothing about it. I think maybe I saw it like on Facebook once, but I was like, okay, I'll give it a shot. And from that was it.
Yeah,
I
that was your first
watched.
impression.
That was my first impression,
Yeah,
and I
that
think
was
I've
actually my
watched
first
it.
question.
Okay, well, perfect. I jumped the gun.
Oh no,
But
that's great. That's great. Sword Art Online quickly gained mass appeal because of its straightforward storytelling, flashy animation, and easy to understand characters. From the very first episode, viewers are hooked by the high stakes drama of survival in a virtual world where death means permanent loss in the real world. On top of that, the love story between Kirito and Asuna added an emotional layer that drew in a wide range of fans. The series also constantly introduces new arcs and game worlds, keeping the content fresh and accessible to both new viewers and longtime fans. In contrast, Dot Hack is more niche. While it has a dedicated fan base, the series is known for its complex and philosophical approach to storytelling, like I mentioned earlier. Instead of focusing on fast-paced action, Dot Hack dives deep into the themes like artificial intelligence, identity, and the nature of reality. The slower pace and heavier themes might have made it harder for casual audiences to stick with the story. The quality of the anime adaptation played a huge role in Sword Art Online's success. The production by A1 Pictures included high-quality animation, vibrant fight scenes, and a sleek visual style that appealed to modern anime fans. What is your favorite season of Sword Art, and why do you like that season?
it would probably be, I believe it's the second half of season 2,
Really?
which is it was called, oh god,
It was like like one of the
something
Elf Road.
Rosaria. It's after that.
Oh, it's after that.
It's
Oh,
it's
okay.
after that. It's actually the first time that Asuna, the I think main female protagonist, the it's more about her, which
Mhm.
it might be in season 3 now that I think about it more. So the story follows how she is invited to join a guild,
Mhm.
um, and help out with some quests, and she decides to do this. It's a whole different group of people. But to back up for a second, it's actually because there was this competition where this swordswoman was basically challenging people to one-on-one duels and wasn't losing at all.
Mhm.
Kirito, the main character or the main male protagonist, faces off against her. He also loses, which,
Mm.
if you know anything about the show, he's supposed to be unbeatable.
Yeah, he's supposed to be
But
this
then,
overpowered character, just like super high stats.
exactly, and she whooped him. And then Asuna tries it and ends up losing just by a smidge. And but definitely was the swordwoman's biggest competitor. And because they just bonded so well from that experience, they started going on guild missions together, and that's where you find out that the group, the party that the swordswoman is part of, is a group of terminally ill patients at a hospital.
Mhm.
And the premise is that because terminally ill patients are in just so much pain, the VR technology was used to transport them to the virtual world where their body is, on anesthesia,
Mhm.
that they're comfortable, their minds are allowed to, explore, be engaged, and play games in the VR space. And that ends up being like a very big part of their lives that they're doing pretty much 24/7 until inevitably their body gives up.
Yeah.
And I think that it really was something that I thought sort of online did really well and was smart, was about talking about how VR can be used in such unique ways that
Mhm.
it's not just about, you know, trying to put out the next big game that everyone's going to be playing, but it's also about how can you create gaming environments that are more accessible to larger populations, which is huge, especially handicapped people, terminally ill patients. They're not going to be able to play games the same way that most of us do.
Especially now, since we do have the technology very similar to that of Sword Art.
Yes.
We have the visors, we've got hands-free controllers. I mean, I even seen at some point someone was playing Elden Ring with their mind. That's how accessible we've gotten in our technology now, so...
There's also a streamer whose fish has
yes,
played
the
Elden Ring
goldfish.
and has beaten the DLC too, so it's everywhere. But and I think that was a really important theme to, especially this was, I think, maybe in the mid 2010s this came out.
Yeah, like 2008,
it's about
2009,
like
I
how,
think.
right, is how can you use the advancements of technology to provide a better environment, a better world for anyone.
Yeah.
And I think the storyline of that was just so, I think, a departure of all of the I think more larger issues with the series in general, which can have a lot of very unnecessarily bad themes that don't really add to the development of the characters. Is just more of something they undergo, which is not great. But this here was an example of them finally using this platform to demonstrate the depth their stories can go into. And personally, I bawled my eyes out the first time I watched it all the way through. The story was amazing. It's, I think, bringing up terminally ill patients. You could probably guess how the ending goes. But I think it's something that they also bring up a lot through the rest of the series and some of the later seasons. And it's always great to just see two female protagonists really leading the story. So it was, and it and not being like in a sexualized way, in a very much
or the damsel in distress. The popular tropes that we see with supporting casts.
Exactly. It was none of that. So it was really, really positive.
And its broadcast in 2012 coincide with the rise of high-definition streaming platforms, allowing it to reach global audiences almost instantly. In contrast, Donhack Sign from 2002, while groundbreaking in its day, had a slower, more contemplative pace and visuals that didn't really keep up with modern standards. The animation, although good for its time, may feel dated compared to SAO's flashier production. One major reason for Sword Art Online's relevance is also Bandai Namco and their current releases of Sword Art Online games. With games like Sword Art Online... Okay, I'm gonna butcher this. Alicization? Lacrosis? Yeah, we're gonna go with that. And other RPG spin-offs, the franchise continues to evolve alongside new anime seasons, keeping the fan base engaged. On the other hand, Donhack had fewer major game releases over its time, and its complicated multimedia approach required fans to follow both the games and anime for the full story. While there was Donhack GU Last Recode, the HD upscaling of the Donhack GU series, the franchise hasn't seen that same level of support of frequency of releases from Bandai Namco. And as for Sword Art's kind of outside of the anime, you said you played a good portion of the games. Did they follow the main story at all, or do they have their own plot points within it?
Most of them have their own plots. There's Hollow Fragment, that one. Sometimes the settings change, so between Alfheim, Aincrad, the Gun Gale Online world, and I think some of the newer original things, because the whole idea is that the system that made Aincrad the first place, it at the end of, I think, season 1, it basically is given to the algorithm basically is given to Kirito to use it as a seed, and you can then use the base algorithm to build all of these different new games, because the hard part of the engineering was done, and that's what happened. So I think in the games they definitely explore that more, to be here's this brand new world they're in, here's all these new things, because they set it up in the show that they can have lots of different worlds and games and different purposes and stuff, and that's mostly what happens. And then Alicization, though, that one is pretty much by the show. I think it's probably the only one that's really by the show.
Okay, so it's not just like multiple games that just follow the plot of the story. It's like maybe one or two games.
Yeah, I think it's like one or two games of the like many they have out now, and they're big games. Each of them take like I think probably about 100 hours to like 100%.
Wow, I mean, have you ever 100% of them or?
No, I don't have that much time. No, but they still take like 40, 50 hours just to finish the main story. There's so much to do, so much grinding. Especially some of the newer ones are more open worlds, just lots and lots to do. And there's about a bajillion side quests, so it's daunting. I don't think most people end up finishing it because it's very, very crazy. But for the few that have, congrats to them.
Yeah.
I definitely think that, SAO is not, I think, it definitely has a lot of games, and I'm sure in some ways it's known for its games just as much as the show, but I definitely feel as though Dot Hack definitely, you know it from the games, not so much the show.
Yeah. I think a lot of people, when they talk about Sword Art, they think about the anime, not necessarily the games, where I think it's the opposite of Dot Hack. They remember Dot Hack's sign, but when they speak of Dot Hack, it's usually either GU or it's prequel series, IMOC.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, that's gonna be it.
Yeah, it is kind of funny how both series kind of mirror each other in different ways. So it is just kind of like a funny thing to point out. The timing of Sword Art Online's release also played a significant role in its popularity. It aired during the rise of social media platforms like Twitter or Reddit. X and Reddit. What a horrible name for a platform. SAO quickly became a trending topic during its airing and benefited from meme culture, fan art, and fan theories that helped grow its online presence. In contrast, Dot Hack originated in a pre-social media era, meaning it didn't benefit as much from the viral nature of an online fandom. Again, it has a dedicated following. It's just not easy to build a large community fan base back then versus now. Bandai Namco's marketing and development for both series have had some complicated pasts. By blending iconic moments from the anime with the gameplay, each release maintains a series' relevance and keeps fans coming back for more. In contrast, the Dot Hack games had a more complex, niche approach. The original quadrilogy, Infection, Mutation, Outbreak, and Quarantine, was innovative, offering a unique game-within-a-game concept, where players controlled a character inside an MMORPG simulation. However, one challenge with Dot Hack's strategy is that the games often require players to follow the entire multimedia series, animes, novels, and more to get the full story. While some entries can be picked up and enjoyed without knowing the events of what came before, it brings more context to certain things that usually don't get explained within those titles alone. While this multimedia strategy is deep and rich for dedicated fans, it can be overwhelming for casual players who don't have the time to consume everything. This approach may have contributed to Dot Hack fading from mainstream attention, even though it was ahead of its time. Sword Art Online benefited from a strong, consistent marketing. The combination of well-timed game releases, major anime events, and easy-to-digest social media marketing helps Sword Art stay in the forefront for anime fans, or gaming fans in general. For example, major game releases are often occupied by trailers, character previews, and exclusive DLCs that offer early adopters extra content. This model kept fans excited and engaged with each new entry in the SAO universe. On the other hand, Dot Hack had a less aggressive marketing push. While the games had a solid following, there were cross-promotions with animes like Sign and Roots. The fragmented storytelling across different media types made it difficult to generate the same level of hype. Additionally, the game stopped being produced as frequently, meaning that there was less to promote, and by the time last Recode came out, the series already slipped from public eye. In recent years, it's clear to see why Bandai would promote Sword Art over Dot Hack in these recent years. SAO's ability to generate consistent sales with each new entry made it a safer bet for ongoing development. In comparison, Hack has not had that much content within the last several years. The release of the last Recode gave fans of the series something to enjoy, but it wasn't enough compared with the continuous stream of SAO content. Bandai Namco has chosen to focus on SAO due to its broader appeal and profitability, but both series have earned their place in gaming and anime history for different reasons. I have made a lot of jokes against Sword Art Online, but I am genuinely happy for anyone who enjoys the series, and I'm really glad that it is still finding appeal in the modern age. While I do hope that one day Bandai Namco does give Hack more attention like it deserves, I am glad that what Hack did, Sword Art Online took it and made it their own, and in a unique way. And honestly, that is awesome. That is very nice to see, you know? Perhaps one day we'll have a proper collaboration between both series and maybe find a way to bridge the gap between the two. Are there any particular stories you want or characters you want to see more of as the series goes on?
You know, and I guess spoiler alert for people who haven't
Spoiler,
finished.
big bold letters. Okay, now go ahead.
Literally. For the people who haven't finished it, the last episode was I think, teaser of what's to come, where they enter into like a space, like sci-fi world or game. Complete departure of everything else they've ever done. So, you know, I think it's going to be really interesting, and I think really positive of them exploring completely new environments, not being, you know, a fantasy RPG type show. And really can just explore whatever gaming settings, platforms, whatever they want to do, because they have the foundation for all of that. So I think it'll be a very long time before SAO is ever officially finished. Because there's just still so much they can do, and I hope they do it. I hope they explore more, and I really hope they think more about, you know, the technological implications of VR in more settings outside of just, you know, gaming experiences.
And especially since Bandai is putting a lot of its focus on Sword Art Online and developing more for the series, I think you might just get that wish. Especially since, while I don't see anyone necessarily talking about Sword Art Online, at least not in like open, like out in the open. I mean, there is a huge fan base for Sword Art still, and that's something to be proud of, you know, as someone who has, you know, like yourself, that has been through the series since it's good, it's bad, or good, it's good and bad, and just kind of like, I'm so happy that, I even said this in the video probably after this, you know, I post this segment, that you, like, there's so much for you to enjoy. And as a Hack fan, I am glad that you can find something that is just as enjoyable that I like, you know? And maybe I will get back into Sword Art just to see what all has changed since I've last watched it. It's going to take a lot of sitting down, but I will definitely...
Oh, sorry.
Oh no, I was just going to say, I'll probably start by playing through the older games, like the ones for the PSP, and then work my way up, and just so that way I have an idea of what the actual show is about.
Either that or also watching the show might help.
Yeah, that too. And I guess in terms of like, I guess misunderstandings within any franchise, is there anything about Sword Art Online you feel is misunderstood or overlooked by its critics?
Just get past the first season. Like, get through the first 12 episodes. Maybe skip the next 12 episodes. And
just go to season 3. You know, just start at season 3.
You know what? Like, it's okay to skip. Not everything adds on to each other.
But that is just my fault. Do you like Sword Art Online or Hack, or do you even hate both series? Let me know in the comments below, and I do appreciate you taking this time to listen in. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and hit a like if you want to see more content like this. Hope all of you stay classy, stay beautiful, but most importantly, have a good night.